Yo, what's up guys? FFDev here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you some gameplay starting off from a couple of games that I made, from scratch using SFML, not really using an engine per se, just using the SFML framework. And then following the gameplay, I'm going to show you the newest engine that I'm making, FrozenForge. I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, so what I am showing you now is the new engine I'm working on, the FrozenForge engine. And without going too deep into it, I'll show you there's actually quite a few components that I've added, open source projects I've implemented into my game engine to make things easier. This time it is an entity component system and it is complete, but it's not my entity component system. I actually used ENTT. Let's see if I put it in the core folder. I did. So here it is, ENTT. This is actually the same entity component system that Minecraft Bedrock uses and a few games use, so it's super optimized. Sorry if there's any feedback in my mic. I plan on getting a new mic soon. This is the best I got till then. So now I've implemented a few components. Let's see if I can show you. It might look a little bit, it doesn't look too confusing now, but it's got a little bit of a weird way of coding that I do. Like right here, you type in, instead of doing like, let's say player.add shape, you actually do the function and then pass in the object that you want to add it to. So if I want to add like, let's see, where's it at? Add sprite. If you want to add a sprite, you would do it this way. It's a little bit backwards, but I don't know. We'll see how the workflow goes. I didn't want to. The reason it's like this is because I didn't want to edit the entity component system itself, because it's already its own super optimized system. So I didn't want to put my own functions in there. That's the reason it's being called this way. And also, I'll give it a try, see how it works. Seems to be working fine. I didn't want to use a wrapper. I could have used a wrapper to make it a little bit easier in the components, but however, that would still add a little bit of overhead, and I just wanted this to be as optimized as possible, and this isn't no big deal doing like this. So right now, as far as it goes, let me run it for you. I just have a simple little ball bouncing around the screen so you can take a look at it. Nothing much, but this is actually super optimized right now. So I have a run function, handle input, which probably keep that there. It's gonna be changed. Also added a start function if you're familiar with Unity. I started on Unity, so I'm a fan of the start function for like initializing stuff where it runs one time. We have an update function where you can call like if your player or component that you have has an update function, you can call that in there in the update as well. Pass in that value where I'm using delta time. So for different frame rates, this is just kind of messing around. This right here is the update entity. entity function. Let me see. I haven't looked at this in a minute. I'm not sure if it's being called or not. Anyways, oh yeah, I'm calling on the player update entity. So the update entity is basically right now, as far as it goes, is you can pass in a player or whatever entity you want. Pass in the delta time, and it checks to see if there's a velocity component to see if it's there or not. And this right here is just kind of like a little optimized way of moving things, make stuff a little bit easier. So it checks to see if you have a velocity component, which I do have here in my components I've added to this, and then it checks to see if you have a sprite or a rectangle shape. And if you have those, it will set the position to the new position by adding the velocity. I also added in a render UI function, which handles like all of your rendering for the UI will go in right here, and it's called here, where it's always displayed on top and it's in its own view. This stuff can be changed, you know, to fit your screen or whatnot. Right now I currently have the engine where the screen size is set to the size of your monitor, and I have a few different ways to create entities. You can create an entity and give it a name by string, and you have like a list of them here. Or if you specifically want to look for it, which I haven't really used this anymore since I added another way. You can also create an entity this way. This way is a little bit different. Create entity and you pass in a string, but this returns back a reference. So this will also add a name to it and returns a name, but the way I'm using it right now is the most straightforward. This is my favorite way now. This returns a reference to it. Is it creates an entity and you can actually name it. So it's the same way that I'm creating the player. Let me see. Show you in my header file where I created it. Just put entity player equals create entity. So that's how you create entities. And some of the stuff looks a little weird, but that's just working with entity. And also I used a little bit of C++ here, so I didn't have to use where I can show you entity is actually the same as doing ENTT : entity to use the entity, but I just made it simple where you can just name it entity. And also a few components I added which aren't completely set up yet. It's working some but needs some a little bit of polish done to it. A noise generator for procedural games. I'm using, let me take a look, fast noise light for this. For networking I'm using eNet. So for multiplayer I haven't completely implemented it yet, it's just installed. Nothing in the test folder. We have an assets folder, we can put your assets. It comes with some fonts I've put in here by default. There ain't no textures right now because I don't have a game being made. No audio. So currently one of the coolest thing is I'm backing it up on GitHub. I've got it private right now until I get it to a state where I'm happy with it. But one of my favorite things is I am creating documentation as I go. FrozenForge documentation. If you really want to see how stuff's done, I provide an example on how to do all the functions so far that's working. Well, once I get it in a good state. And this pretty much shows you an example of how to do every function, and I have it kind of broken down. Also showing the asset manager, how you would load different textures, and just showing a little bit of notes here. This is all this is just showing you how to use some of my components and how to use the engine in here. And that's showing the UI function, which I actually drew the background as UI in this one, but that's okay. Where I had a test texture for it, and the strings work. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy this. Once it gets in a better state, I'll make it available. I definitely want to be able to have the networking working. We can create a multiplayer game. I'm going to try to use encapsulation, you know, and abstractions, and try to make that as simple as possible so it'll be easy to create games. If you guys are interested, have any thoughts on this, comment below. Let me know what you think, and if you guys want another tutorial series coming up, hey, let me know what you guys want to know how to do, and I'll try to create a tutorial for you. But You guys are the best. This is FF Dev, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later, guys. Oh, also, if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. Take care.